Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. Today's upload is going to be a video about the classic summer pattern that has taken hold across the United States. Just a storm system that's kind of across the west, delivering lots of rain, snow, and just waves of showers across much of the United States. Lots of warmth, some sunshine as well. Just classic summer pattern, and we are encroaching across the. We already passed the summer solstice, and now we are approaching the hottest temperatures of the year. Usually, the atmosphere takes around 1 to 2 weeks to react to the. To the summer solstice. It's usually the sun is the longest at around 21st of June, and then it starts getting shorter, so it starts technically it should start getting cooler that day, but usually starts getting cooler around mid-July. The averages, though, it could be very hot equally. It could be hotter in July than it is in June, just based on the year. That's at that moment. And at this time, it looks as if it's going to be warm and wet, so perfect, I guess, recipe for diseases on your garden plants and stuff like that. But let's get into this. Oh, by the way, if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, that would be amazing. I do all sorts of weather-related content throughout the winter, fall, summer, like now, and spring. So if you want more related weather feed in your YouTube, consider subscribing. And if you're a returning viewer, liking the video always helps out tremendously. So let's take a look at this and let's see what's going on. Right now we are looking at the map of what's going on across the United States based on a GFS prediction. Notice there's some pockets of snow across the across the most highest peaks of British Columbia. We see some blues, not anything unusual, but it is chilly rather there across the west, and that was what we were talking about yesterday. You could see even like a snow system right there across Idaho and into Montana, and Wyoming could see some snow. So if you're visiting Wyoming or Yellowstone for vacation, you may be witnessing some snow. So not good. But notice that the rest of the United States, we have a system across the eastern, the northeast, weirdly delivering showers, thunderstorms. This is the GFS, so it's a global forecasting model, and it doesn't really do a good job of, pinpointing exactly where the thunderstorms are. Because if you were to take this and put this in the exact same moment on the radar, it just wouldn't look as impressive, even if the GFS was right. The thing is that, the GFS draws one thunderstorm cell around this size, and that's just not true. Thunderstorm cells are tops maybe that big. And you can see that all that light green, that stuff, that's not really light rain. That's more like, scattered thunderstorms and thunder showers that could be occurring across the Midwest. And if you were to play this into motion, notice that it continues. They are associated with the system. Usually this is the big one right here across the front range of the Rockies. But notice we have one right here as well, across the Northeast. That's a little bit more strong, more taut system. But notice that this storm is massive. It's large, and this thing has precipitation up to the north, and it starts delivering these little bundles of showers, waves of showers across from north to south and east to west. And you can see that kind of moves up, and this storm just spouts out these large waves of rain, and you can see it's kind of rainy across the Illinois, Missouri area, across the Mississippi. Then it kind of calms down. We see some thunderstorms across the night, early Thursday or early Friday. Late Thursday, you could see some thunderstorms and thunder showers across the southeast, so that definitely increases, as we go on into the summer. And then notice that then we may be getting more of a break, but you can still see waves of showers kind of across the Midwest, upper Midwest and south, which is good. But really, for the next couple of days, will be more centered across the central U.S. Then it kind of goes to the northern and southern sides of the U.S., and then it just kind of becomes more of a west to east oriented pattern. Notice that no storm is really just sending waves north and south. It's just more east to west, more zonal flow. You can see these thunderstorms are pretty fast tracking these systems. You can see that one just sped across, and there's another one that speeds across, and we have another system right there with thunderstorms. Again, this may look way less impressive than it actually will be. This could be even potential for some severe weather right there. I just chose that random one because just because it looked so weak, it could still produce some severe weather. You could see across the Virginias right here, and even across parts of the Rockies, we see some thunderstorms that could cause flash flooding. Hilled areas or elevated areas where when it rains, it could flow down into one concentrated area. And you can see that overall, just a active pattern with lots of chances for precipitation wherever you live. So definitely, not just like, you're not going to be really dry across the east if you live in the eastern side of North America or the United States. If you're to look at the total accumulated precipitation, there is quite a bit of rain. Now, it isn't ridiculous amounts, but it is definitely there. Anything in the blue is above half an inch, which would, suffice for quite a while. Half an inch of rain, maybe not during the hottest time of the year, but that's still quite a bit of rain. And again, where the thunderstorms pan out to be um, the more significant, variety, then you could see we see up to 2 to 4 inches of rain, and some concentrated areas maybe up to 6 inches. And if you're to go back, say, to yesterday's model run, the 00Z, you could see that it was showing more concentrated areas of rain across the southern Ohio Valley into the western Mid-Atlantic area. But today it's a little bit less like that. Okay, so again, it jumps around a lot, but generally wetter, obviously, across the east and the west, though not awfully dry across the west. The Colorado Rockies, New Mexico and Arizona seeing some rain, but states like Utah, Nevada, California will stay mainly dry, including Washington and Oregon, also relatively dry for the environment they have there, which is usually very wet. That's not that much rain. Let's take a look at some of the temperatures, and let's go to the 2-meter temperature anomaly to show you where it is below or above average at a certain time. So let's take a look at this. Go back, and now let's start off at hour 0 and move it through each little click. Notice again, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, very cold in the west. That's why there will be snowing in places like Yellowstone, and very hot across eastern Canada, and that's why you'll be 90s and 100s. It's like the Arctic heat wave right there, and that kind of after a while does fade away. You can see that they are pretty clashing. You can see that there's pretty nice and cool here, pretty nice and hot over here. So they definitely kind of meet, but it seems like the warmth overtakes, and really a few pockets of where it's cooler based on where the showers are, but generally a warm pattern is overtaken the United States, and maybe the chilliest spots will be across the western United States, the west coast. Generally east of the Rockies, it's going to be warm, and it's going to stay warm for a while. Maybe towards the longer range, we see a little bit of cooler air trying to come in, but definitely you can see right there a pretty nice wave of cooler air coming in across in northern Canada, or southern Canada into northern United States around the mid half of July. That could be something more substantial, but generally up until then, warm. Few pockets of random coolness, probably brought to you by like a storm system or just a cloud cover. Nothing really too significant in terms of cool temperatures, mainly just warm, which is really the more unfortunate thing. What we see is that it's warm rather than cool, and the reason for that is it's the hottest time of the year. When you get even slightly above average, it just feels downright hot. And if you're if you're in your average is 85, then 5 degrees above average it's 90, and that's hot. You could get heat exhaustion, heat stroke much quicker than if it was cooler. So during the winter, we don't like to see the cool temperatures, as that just usually, or below average, that usually just means cold. During the summer, we don't like to see above average, as that just means usually unbearably hot. And you can see that that could be the case across some regions across the Southwest and into the Texas area. And you can see that the South will be very warm across this whole week. It's just 90s, 100s across the Kansas and the Oklahoma and Texas region, and that just keeps on going for a while. And notice equally as hot across Canada and into the eastern United States. Just very warm. The warmest time of the year basically is going to be occurring in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and possibly towards the long range, maybe a bit of a cool off across the northern or southern parts of Canada, but just really ramping up even further across the southeast and the south central United States and into parts of the northeast. You can see right there in New York is 101. Can't really see that from there. The GFS really, and look at that. That's almost unbearably hot. 106, 102. And if you were to look at the anomalies, they're not ridiculous. I mean, they are above average, but they're not off the charts. And that's what I mean. If you get those colors around summertime, that's usually just not good news. You can see it takes a little bit above average, and you're at the 106, 102 to 106 range. That just usually brings uncomfortable weather and just downright brutal heat and just dangerous heat. So notice that towards the long range we see this cool wave up to the north, which could be a little bit more of significance, but really for a long period of time it will just be hot, and generally 80s across the north and hundreds and 90s across the south. The west will be between cool periods of cooler and warmer weather, while maybe some 50s in the lower higher elevations, followed by some 70s. The lower elevations, maybe where it's hotter, the valleys, maybe some 90s or 80s, and then when it's hotter, up to the hundreds, which we could definitely see. You could see right there across southwestern Arizona and southeastern California, Southern California. We just see very hot temperatures, downright just very warm temperatures. And you can see Death Valley right there being also highlighted by its heat. Let's take a quick look at the European. Let's see what it shows in terms of the heights. You could see that this is the classic omega pattern, which is named after the Greek symbol omega. You can see cool here, warm here, and cool here, and that's what it's going on right now. But that will quickly fade and be more dominated by a high pressure pushing to the north, this warm air. And notice that it gets pretty unbearably hot after a while, and it gets pretty warm, and the cooler air stays locked up to the north. Though the omega pattern kind of still is there, cooler across the northwest and extreme parts of the northeast. But generally that ridge is just going to be quite profound, and that's going to bring downright very, very warm temperatures. So again, not the pattern we would like to see in July, but unfortunately that's the pattern that we'll be witnessing. And it seems like much of July may be above average, including August as well. So that's definitely not good, especially if that La Nina forms, because usually La Nina summers are a little bit warmer. Not necessarily the winters, obviously, though. So it's just how it is. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel. Hopefully you know what's coming your way in terms of the weather a little bit more, and if not, update yourself with your local weather. They do a decent job as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.